INEC debunks rumors of plans to postpone next month's election. The federal government releases more than 9 billion naira for payment of backlog of scholarship allowances owed to Nigerian students. In international news, British citizens worry over the future of Brexit on their country's economic well-being. And in sports, Enugu Rangers qualify for Confederation Cup group stage.
This is ANN News.
I am Olajumoke Natuji. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has denied rumors in some quarters that it plans to postpone next month's general elections. INEC Chairman Mahmood Yakubu says there is no possibility of a shift in election schedule. He says the Commission had contacted the National Youth Service Corps to release corps members to serve during the elections. Mahmood further said the Commission had replaced more than 62,000 ballot boxes which were either damaged or destroyed, and procured an additional 200,000 ballot boxes for the election. Nigeria's former President Olusegun Obasanjo has accused President Muhammadu Buhari of running an autocratic government similar to the administration of the late military dictator General Sani Abacha. Obasanjo said in a 16-page letter, it is clear from all indications that Buhari is putting into practice the lessons learned from Abacha. The former president said he decided to speak on the state of the nation because he was concerned about the dangerous trend pervading the country. In a swift reaction, President Buhari's office has dismissed issues raised by Obasanjo, alleging that security crisis and impunity were rife during the former president's administration between 1999 and 2007. The president's media aide, Femi Adesina, said thousands of lives were lost under Obasanjo's administration in 2007 when he saw the general election at the time a do-or-die affair. Adesina said Obasanjo's regime brought about the Odin massacre, Zadibia massacre, clashes between the Odua People's Congress, OPC, and other ethnic groups. He also laid at the foot of the former president Sharia riots and thousands of other lives lost under his administration. Governor Rogers Okorocha has declared he is still the leader of the All Progressives Congress in Imo State. Okorocha was reacting to a report by the state party executive led by Marcellinus Lemigbe, in which his expulsion from APC over alleged anti-party activities was recommended. Okorocha said he would not be disturbed by the call for his expulsion for being loyal to the Dan Nwafo faction of the party executive in the state. The statement says the Imo State chapter of the APC never at any time suspended or expelled him as leader of the party in the state. Okorocha says there is also no APC faction, but only one APC party in Imo State with Daniel Nwafo as the chairman and Wale Rochas Okorocha as the leader. The federal government has released 9 billion naira for the payment of backlog of scholarship allowances owed to Nigerian students at home and abroad up to December last year. Minister of Education, Adamu says the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari has already expended more than 800 million naira in 2018 for the payment of scholarship stipends to students at home and abroad. Adamu says current payments brings to 10 billion naira, the amount the administration would have spent on scholarships in the 2018 budget. Adamu said the board inherited scholarship liabilities from the scheme operated by the National Universities Commission, NUC. He said the number of scholarship applicants had risen to 30,000 from the usual 12,000 for the 4 scholarship schemes. Minister of Power, Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, has announced the approval of 108 firms for the supply of meters to electricity consumers in the country. Fashola says creating new businesses for meter suppliers under a meter asset provider scheme is presently the best solution to cater to citizens' need of prepaid meters. The minister also said solar power has been provided to 450 shops in Lagos Ikwari market through a private firm. Hassan Sumonu, the pioneer president of the Nigeria Labour Congress, has advised the leaders of various labor unions against selling out their members for pecuniary gains to avoid suffering karmic retribution. Sumonu gave this warning in Ibadan at the weekend. He was a guest speaker at the lecture titled The Life and Challenges of a Trade Union Leader, delivered in honor of Isiaka Ibrahim, former NLC chairman in Oyo State. Sumonu said trade unionists could only consider themselves successful if they truly overcame inducements and temptations from employees. Sumonu remarked that union leaders who help or betray their workers will get their rewards of retribution both on earth and in hell. Members of the Monetary Policy Committee will meet today in Abuja to take measures to attract more foreign capital inflow and curtail capital outflow and rising inflation ahead of next month's election. National Bureau of Statistics says the Consumer Price Index, which measures inflation, rose to almost 11.5% in December. This is the 265th meeting of the MPC and the first for the year. It is expected to keep all policy rates unchanged, as has been with all meetings since July 2016. That decision will prevail despite rising calls from economic experts for the committee to lower benchmark interest rates. And sadly, a worker in Makurdi local government area of Benue State has committed suicide over alleged non-payment of his salaries. Reports say the state's local government workers have not been paid for about 8 months, and some claim the government is owing them up to a year of salaries. A worker in the local government who spoke in confidence claimed the deceased worked in the agriculture department. The source says the unnamed local government worker drank acid. Coming up, African stories. 10 UN peacekeepers killed in attack on northern Mali. And later, international news, British citizens speak out on Brexit.
You are watching ANN.
This used to be me. But that was before I got the perfect bag. It's handy and easy to use. All I need in one compact space, just like my MTN Extra Value plan. I used to get one plan for my calls and then try to remember which data plan worked for me. Roaming was a totally different ballgame. Not anymore. I've got the MTN Extra Value all-in-one plan. If you're a data buff like me, you get extra data with some talk time. And if you like to make calls, you get extra talk time with some data. And when I'm abroad, I automatically browse, chat, and call right on the same plan. MTN Extra Value was made just for me.
More of data or calls, whichever one you prefer. MTN Extra Value is made just for you.
Whether in your house, at your office, on your phone or online, we are there. We have the facts behind the headlines. We cut to the chase with the news you really need. We cover every angle. We are the bigger, better news network. We are African News Network. ANN. Watch ANN News on MITV from a truly African spirit.
Welcome back. This is ANN News. Now to stories from around Africa. Former suspects declared wanted by Kenyan authorities following last week's attack at a Nairobi highbrow hotel and shopping complex have surrendered. Kenyan police also said on Monday they have thwarted a planned attack on a Chinese-owned construction company by suspected Al-Shabaab militants, days after the Islamic group killed 21 persons in Nairobi. The assailants wounded one person while they attempted to hit the site in Garissa County, not far from the Kenya-Somalia border. The company is owned by a Chinese road construction company that is building the Garissa-Modogashe highway. County Police Commander David Karina says the attackers were repulsed by alert security officers. Ugandan authorities in eastern Sabay region have reported an increase in cases of female genital mutilation (FGM) that is illegal in the country. Police say they have stepped up their deployments to stem the rise. Local leaders and activists say some FGM ceremonies are now happening in public in spite of its illegality in Uganda. Most of the victims are believed to be married women in their 20s and 30s who are stigmatized for not having undergone the procedure. A non-governmental agency says there have been at least 12 women who have undergone public circumcision, although there have been many more suspected cases. FGM was banned in Uganda in 2010, but those committing the act facing up to 10 years in prison. Government and activist campaign have led to a reduction in the practice, but now some women who did not undergo the procedure before marriage are said to be facing social isolation and pressure to get circumcised. The African Union has postponed its plan to send a high-level delegation to the Democratic Republic of Congo on Monday over the country's disputed presidential election after the Constitutional Court declared Felix Tshisekedi winner of the poll. AU had previously expressed serious concerns about the vote and called for the results to be delayed, but DR Congo rebuffed, saying it will announce the winner. The country's top court ruled on Sunday that a legal challenge to the result filed by Fayulu was inadmissible. Government spokesman Lambert Mende welcomed the judgment, saying Felix Tshisekedi will become the 5th president of the nation. Meanwhile, congratulatory messages are pouring in for Tshisekedi from the 16-nation Southern African Development Community, including South Africa. President Cyril Ramaphosa issued a statement calling on all parties and stakeholders in DR Congo to respect the decision of the Constitutional Court. As Ramaphosa was congratulating Tshisekedi on his election success, South Africa was sending a no response to Zimbabwe on its request for a $1.2 billion loan. A finance ministry spokesman said on Monday, South Africa doesn't have that kind of money. Zimbabwe was hit by anti-government protests last week after a hike in fuel prices stoked anger over an economic crisis. Police say 3 persons died during demonstrations that turned violent in the capital Harare and the second largest city, Bulawayo. But human rights groups say evidence suggests at least a dozen were killed. Zimbabwean President Emmerson Mnangagwa said on Sunday he would return home from a European tour and skip the World Economic Forum to address the crisis. Meanwhile, a Zimbabwe former member of parliament has said if the country relaunched its own currency, it will help bring down and stabilize inflation in the future. The former MP Eddie Crooks, who was on the Budget and Finance Committee as well as the Public Accounts Committee, was speaking in a CGTN interview in Harare on Saturday. Zimbabwe faces a plethora of economic challenges, and Finance Minister Mthulu Ncube had recently announced the country will reintroduce its own currency in the next 12 months to tackle the liquidity crunch. It's been 10 years since Zimbabwe abandoned its own currency that had been rendered worthless by record-breaking inflation.
But I believe that it's going to be a peak like this. I think that once he's done his monetary policy reforms and the market reforms aligned with it, bringing in a free market, trading the currencies between banks and things like that, taking exchange control away from the Reserve Bank. Once that's done, I believe the currency will settle down at about 2 to 1. Now, that will have a dramatic impact on inflation. And when that happens, we'll see inflation numbers coming down.
Ncube expects Zimbabwe to have built up adequate foreign currency reserves to back its own currency by year-end. Inflation is high and has reportedly reached 41% in December, its highest level since 2008, showing projections that it would end the year in single-digit territory. Cross said he believes Zimbabwe is headed for hyperinflation, but once the monetary policy reforms are put in place, the currency will settle down and inflation will be tamed. The nationwide anti-government protests in the Sudan have entered their second month. Protesters had blocked one of the main arteries in Omundo in Central Kwartem on Sunday. At least 30 trucks carrying security personnel were reportedly destroyed to the area. A report says some raised two fingers in the victory signs as Sudanese security forces fired tear gas on Sunday at several hundred protesters and chased them down side streets. Nearly daily demonstrations triggered by a worsening economic crisis have rocked Sudan since mid-December. Protesters have blamed President Omar al-Bashir for the country's problems and have called for an end to his three-decade rule. When we return international news, British citizens speak out on Brexit, and later sport, Enugu Rangers qualify for Confederation Cup group stage.
You are watching ANN.
If you know fit go internet or follow for Twitter, you know fit snap photo send or get it photo send. Now because you dey use Palasa, your phone no dey answer. See me see wahala. My brother, go get smartphone, yeah. Drop that Palasa phone. Phone wey no go for your hand, yeah. Drop that Palasa phone. Phone wey no fit take selfie. Drop that Palasa phone. No be correct phone, yeah. Drop that Palasa phone.
Upgrade to a smartphone today and get double data for 6 months on any MTN data bundle you buy. Simply purchase a smartphone from any store, anywhere in Nigeria, or bring your current smartphone from any network. Insert your MTN SIM card to start enjoying your double data bonus. Offer is open to all new and existing MTN subscribers. Join the largest smartphone movement today.
Make it up for your hand, that's Palasa phone.
Welcome back. This is ANN News. Now to stories from around the world. British citizens are worried about the country's future after leaving the European Union, but the United Kingdom left with the difficult decisions to make after British lawmakers overwhelmingly rejected Prime Minister Theresa May's Brexit deal last Tuesday. May has to formulate an alternative deal by today, and the UK has several choices ahead. It could have a no-deal breakup with the European Union or re-enter negotiations to secure a more favorable deal with the EU. It could also have a second referendum. No matter what the UK will choose, residents are concerned about the current situation and want it resolved soon.
Unfortunately, I think we're looking a bit ludicrous right now as a nation because we don't know how to sort ourselves out of this problem.
We need some confidence back in the country. We need a decision to be made. We just need to do what we voted for, be out, and then plan from there. And we just, it's affecting everybody's business, everybody's livelihoods, and we just need to do what we voted for. Hard or soft, it doesn't matter. We just need to sort it out, don't we?
I think
some say they are tired of the wrangle among different political groups in Westminster and just desperately want us to see a solution in place before the exit date in March.
Because we need more certainty about what's happening.
The two parties are fighting instead of joining together. Individuals are putting their own needs first, and they are not thinking about what the country wanted.
May has faced a tumultuous few weeks after last month's delaying the meaningful vote on her due before surviving a call on no confidence in her leadership from its own party. She then saw her due overwhelmingly rejected, sparking a vote of no confidence in her government on Wednesday, which she survived by a margin of 19 votes. She faces an uphill task to push any new deal through Parliament as the Brexit crisis deepens. U.S. federal workers in Chicago have continued their protest against the unprecedented partial government shutdown as they hope to get back to work as soon as possible, with the shutdown now in its 31st day, the longest in U.S. history. The shutdown started in late December after Congress refused to grant President Donald Trump the $5.5 billion he requested for his long-promised U.S.-Mexico border wall project. In downtown Chicago, dozens of the 30,000 federal workers who have been furloughed took to the streets and held aloft protest signs while chanting, "End the shutdown now." Many who have devoted decades of service have been left utterly aghast at the continuing situation.
This building, November 5th, 1990, and I stopped working. Our last day of work was as of midnight on December 21st of 2018. It's very difficult right now. You know, we don't know when we're going to go back to work. It doesn't look like there's an end in sight, and there's no income coming in right now. So it's very stressful right now.
The shutdown has affected a quarter of the federal government and forced some 800,000 workers across the country to miss their paychecks. Syrian state television is reporting that Syrian air defenses responded to heavy Israeli strikes early Monday, destroying most of the missiles before they reached their targets. It also quoted a Syrian military source as saying the Israeli attacks were carried out from inside the Lebanese airspace and the Israeli-controlled territories in the Galilee. Chinese news agency reporters in Damascus say they witnessed a Syrian air defense missile chasing targets over the capital, coupled with sounds of explosion. The Israeli military said in a statement early on Monday that it has started striking Iranian targets inside Syria and warned Syrian forces not to encroach upon Israel or Israeli territories or harm the Israeli forces. It is the second Israeli strike within 24 hours, and Israel fired missiles at Syrian positions on Sunday morning. Official Syrian media said the attack was followed by air defenses. A government spokesman said on Sunday the Saudi-led coalition will continue to strike Houthi drones and their relevant facilities after the international forces launched overnight airstrikes in the Houthi-held Yemeni capital, Sana'a, on Saturday. The spokesman, Turki al-Maliki, told the press conference that Saturday's strikes in Sana'a were aimed at Houthi unmanned aerial vehicles and relevant military facilities. Al-Maliki showed the debris of a Houthi drone shot down by coalition forces and footage of the strikes. The Yemeni government and Houthi armed forces agreed to a ceasefire starting from mid-December in the Red Sea port of Hodeidah. On January the 10th, Houthi armed forces launched airstrikes on large of southern Yemen, killing multiple government officials. But 3 days later, they announced that they were willing to halt drone attacks if the Saudi-led military coalition ends what it called aggression. The coalition gave no response but launched an attack on Saturday night. Up next, sports. Enugu Rangers qualify for Confederation Cup group stage. Stay with us.
You are watching ANN.
Are you sure you want to do this?
Adam, go and bring us your husband. Okay, hello baby. We're in this together, okay? Can you hear me? Keep coming forward. Wait, stop. You okay, lean to your right. Keep walking down, keep walking to the left. Yes. You're almost here. Keep going. You are here. Wow, you did it.
I'm just so glad I didn't have to use my cane to do this.
And I am so glad no other man got you before me. Let me be your eyes.
We will never stop working to give you a network you can rely on so you can enjoy life's special moments. MTN, everywhere you go.
We are on the road every day, canvassing throughout Africa for news you really need. We follow this story everywhere. From every corner of Nigeria to the wide African expanse, we bring you what's making headlines. We connect you with news you can use. ANN, African News Network, in a truly African spirit.
Welcome back. This is ANN News. In sports news, Enugu Rangers, Nigeria's representative in the 2018-2019 CAF Confederation Cup competition, have qualified for the group stage of the competition. The Flying Antelopes defeated Bantu FC of Lesotho 2-1 in the second leg of the playoffs at the Nnamdi Azikiwe Stadium to advance 4-2 in aggregate. Enugu Rangers will know their group opponent on Monday when the draw is conducted in Cairo. It's the first time in 15 years that the Nigeria Football Professional Football League champions will feature in the group stages of the competition. Ibrahim Shigafata, a contestant in the upcoming Football Association elections in Nasarawa State, has kicked against the composition of the electoral committee constituted by the state FA. Shigafata claimed the membership of Abdulhamid Babarabe in the electoral committee is a gross violation of fairness, justice and due process in the electoral process. Shigafata, who is vying for a membership position, said Babarabe was appointed as secretary of both the FA and electoral committee by the current FA chairman, Mohammed Al-Khali, who is also contesting in the elections. That is ANN News this evening. Thank you for joining us. For details on this and other stories, visit our website, annafrica.net. Conversation continues on our social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at ANN Africa TV. I am Olajumoke Olatuji. Have a pleasant evening.